This is the Semantics presentation for class EDL 602 by Zainab Ghanem, Francilia Litardo, Jillian Edwards, and Kuba Shirazi. Understanding semantics. In linguistics, semantics focuses on meaning. Semantics is the study of the meaning of morphemes, words, phrases, and sentences. Semantics is also the study of the meaning of words across different contexts. It can also describe how words take on different meanings depending on how and when they are used. Many words and phrases have multiple meanings. The word human, for example, can have multiple meanings such as male, female, child, adult, mother, father, grandmother, etc. Semantics. The study of semantics helps with a child's reading development and comprehension. It is important for understanding language in social contexts, as these are likely to affect meaning. An understanding of semantics is essential to the study of language acquisition in order to understand the varieties of English. Semantics and language. If we look at language, we see that there are three categories. The first category is broken into sounds. Phonetics and phonology are in this category. The next is form. We see that morphology and syntax both lie here. The next is meaning, and that's where semantics is, along with pragmatics. Lexical semantics. Lexical semantics studies word meaning by defining words in relation to objects, concepts, and words with similar meaning. These lexical words are context words, and you must use the context to determine what the meaning of the word will be. The compositional semantics explores how individual words and syntax make sentences with meaning, the when and how to use words in a sentence or social setting. Semantic ambiguity. Our semantic knowledge tells us when words, phrases, or sentences have more than one meaning. We call these ambiguous. For an English language learner, this doesn't come naturally and must be taught and must be pointed out. Lexical or semantic ambiguity occurs when a word or phrase has more than one possible meaning. In order to understand the meaning of the word duck, we need to see the word in context. For example, one might think of an animal that's swimming or walking with a beak or bill, feathers. Another person might hear the word duck and think about the verb when someone will quickly hide under something or lower their head to avoid being hit. We must use the context or the words around it in order to establish meaning. Then we have structural ambiguity. This occurs when a phrase or sentence has more than one underlying structure. A sentence with structural ambiguity can be interpreted in more than one way. Here are a few examples. The sentence is, Jackie hit the boy with a stick. Upon reading this sentence and upon hearing it for the first time, you could see two different images or visuals in your head. Some of you might have seen Jackie using a stick to hit the boy, or Jackie hit a boy who was holding a stick. This is an example of structural ambiguity. Visiting relatives can be boring. Again, there can be two meanings, sometimes there can be more. This sentence can be perceived as it's boring to visit relatives, or relatives who are visiting are boring. We've decided to do 3 different activities, all working to strengthen a student's semantic knowledge. The first activity deals with lexical ambiguity, content objectives. Students will be able to identify the ambiguous word or expressions in a sentence through the use of visuals. Language objectives. Students will be able to orally explain to their peers how word choice affects the meaning of a sentence. Lesson focus. This lesson activity will be focused on lexical ambiguity. This lesson is also aligned with Common Core standards, applying knowledge of language to understand how language functions in different contexts, to make effective choices for meaning or style, and to comprehend more fully when reading or listening. We're also depending on the students to activate prior knowledge and to engage with the material. Teachers will ask students if anyone knows the expression out of shape and what that means. Students will then watch a clip from the movie Frozen where they will interpret what they think Olaf means in the scene where he says, "Man, am I out of shape?" Students will come to see the lexical ambiguity in the clip. The phrase has two meanings. This will initiate conversation between the students. The teacher will explicitly explain lexical ambiguity and what the concept means. It is extremely important to teach E&L learners because many take literal meaning. When they hear something, they are very concrete and they want to believe what they hear. In certain instances where there are idioms and metaphors, these need to be explicitly taught. For the example which I stated before, we will look at the clip from Frozen.
Man, am I out of shape. There we go.
As you can see, there are clearly two different meanings that can be perceived from this clip. As a class, we would go over these different meanings of this idiomatic phrase, out of shape. The first meaning, the literal meaning, means not in its proper or original shape. The second meaning, out of shape, is not in good physical condition. And also we've included the term bent out of shape, which can mean upset or angry. Students and teachers will discuss the multiple meanings and then decide how to answer the critical question. Based on the video clip, which meaning or meanings do you think Olaf meant? Give examples why. Which meaning can it not be? We are hoping that the students would be able, by using visual cues and, and their understanding of this phrase, to know that both choice 1 and 2 can be used as the meaning for the term out of shape in this particular clip. Activity Part 2. Using visual aids, students will determine the meaning of ambiguous sentences. Depending on the pictures provided, students will discuss the meaning of each sentence. Using visual aids and semantic maps to help students with reading comprehension is key for E&L students. In order to make semantics very clear for them, we need to show and have visual cues so that they can better understand and internalize these semantic terms and phrases. Students will be divided into pairs for this activity. They will be given ambiguous sentences or phrases along with a visual representation. The students will then identify what is the ambiguity in this particular sentence. They will then share their answers with their peers. The students can then work together to analyze their interpretations and discuss what the actual meaning of the word or phrase was. This is another extension of the activity in part 2. This includes semantic mapping. Semantic maps or graphic organizers are maps or webs of words. The purpose of creating a map is to visually display the meaning-based connections between a word or phrase and a set of related words or concepts. Semantic maps help students, especially English language learners, to identify, understand, and recall the meaning of words that they read in text. Students will choose a word that they do not know from a text they are reading as a class and mark with the highlighter. The teacher will draw an initial map or web while the students construct their own web at their desks. The teacher will then place the unknown word in the center of the map. Students will read the word. If necessary, they can use an online dictionary or a hard copy dictionary. Students will then read the text around the word to see if there are related words that they can add to the map in order to gain meaning. They then will find words and phrases that fit with the meaning and add them to the web off the extension of the center circle. They can also add pictures, phrases, or anything else that might help them in connecting meaning to the word in the center of the web. Once there has been meaningful connections made, the students will then read the text again and apply the meaning of the new word. The students can then share and compare their map with their classmates. If we look at the sample web, the word that we chose to use was transportation. Some students might loosely understand what transportation is, but maybe they don't understand the entirety of that vocabulary word. So what we decided to do was look at it from different parts. So we have transportation that can travel by land, by water, by air. And then thinking about different modes of transportation and how they are all connected. We thought of these discussion questions as we were creating this PowerPoint, and we would love to hear your feedback. Question 1. Given what you've learned about semantics, do you believe that semantics and vocabulary are closely related? Why? How are they different? Do you believe that by teaching homonyms, idioms, and figurative language, that students can better understand the semantic structure of English? Why? Imagine you are explaining semantics to a fourth grade student. What are 3 examples of words that you might use to help familiarize the student with semantics? Example, 8 and 8. How are they alike and how are they different? Thank you, and we hope that you enjoyed our presentation on semantics.